Good evening. We're continuing to bring in our missions that we support, and tonight it's mission printing. And we have with us Richard Renfro and his wife Carolyn to tell us all about mission printing. I've known Richard for many years. I could tell you a lot about him, but really none of that really matters. What really matters is that Richard loves the Lord. And that's really all that we need to say about anyone, really, is if they love the Lord, that's really it. That's all you need. So I present Richard Renfro.
Thank you, Marvin. I couldn't ask for any better introduction. Isn't it wonderful to love the Lord? To be at this place, to be with people that love God, come to worship Him, to learn more about His Word and how to serve Him and to serve others. And of all the years I spent traveling over in Africa and different places of the world, it's amazing how many congregations just like this. There are people that love the Lord. They're worshiping according to His Word. It's a thrill to go to places of that nature as well as here in the States. Tonight I want to tell you about a great love I have, and that's mission printing. Over 15 years ago, I went to mission printing because a couple of our members were members of the board, and they were getting ready to retire, and they said, "We need someone to take our place, and we want you to come look at it." And I said, "Well, I went over there when I was a kid, back years and years ago. I wasn't quite a kid, but I was young, very young. And I remember seeing the machinery, and the guillotine is what I liked, the hydraulic guillotine that cut the paper. That's what I wanted to run. But there were a lot of things that as the years went along, and I was busy doing other things, and still traveling for the church quite a bit in my volunteer time. But when it came to mission printing, about a few years after I retired, I thought, this is what I need to do. This is the way I need to spend the rest of my life, as long as I can, going around and telling people about mission printing and being a part of it, being one of the volunteers, not just in name only, but actually being there, actually helping donate funds to it, actually making things happen. And that's what I've tried to do. And I've tried to do it in a very, very easy way where people understood what we were doing. And we've been very successful long before I came. There was a man named Guy Caskey that loved the Lord. He took his family over to Africa for 20 years and spent time in South Africa and Tanzania and places of that, and set up churches and walked miles and miles. And on my travels over there, people would tell me, "Did you know Guy Caskey? He was one of the greatest men that we ever met. He would walk for miles and miles just to preach a sermon to people." We'd never seen that kind of love before. So mission printing was the idea of Guy Caskey. When he came back to the States in about 1978, he decided that the best thing that he could do was to print the Word of God in booklets, forms, where people could study it 24/7. So mission printing has been working now for over 40 years with volunteers. We only have one paid personnel. She's our office manager. She takes care of scheduling all the printing activity, of taking care of seeing that the building is secured. A very great help to us. For without her, it would be very hard to handle that situation. And especially in the last 12 months, we've seen some difficult circumstances that have come up. And we've still been having people come. Even when we tell them it may be too dangerous to come, they still come. And we still have material being printed all this time. The 4 ocean containers that we've been printing for years, we had only lost one container that we didn't have enough volunteers to take care of. We were able to do 75% of our job. And it was because of people like you in this congregation that kept putting those tracts together. At one time, we had 24 congregations feeding us material faster than we could print it. And now we're down to about 10 because of COVID. And we look for that to pick up as more people get their vaccine. We know that some people have both of them, but there's still some that are waiting on their second shot. But hopefully things will improve drastically in the next 2 months, because the last 2 months have been really tough on everybody. We all can testify to that. Let's see if I have it controlled here, if I can work this. Uh-oh, went too fast already. Okay, the Great Commission, and Jesus came and said unto them, saying, I have all authority has been given to me, and heaven and earth. Go therefore, make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And there all things to be taught to them. My eyes are not as good as I thought they were. Better get around here. Go therefore, make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things that I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even to the age. Amen. Matthew 28:18-20. Teach them to observe all things. Sometimes we've overlooked that. And that's what Guy Caskey was looking at in these booklets, to help people study, help them learn what the Word is. And through his writings and through the writings of several other ministers throughout the Brotherhood, we have about 80 different tracts now. And you're involved in putting together, collating them, being able to staple them. That helps us a tremendous amount. That's something that goes on every week, every month, and we see thousands and thousands of tracts coming in our doors every week. And we unload them and we load up more. And that's the main thing that the center does. Who are we? We're Christian volunteers. Very important, because they know they're not working for Richard Renfro. They're not working for Tom Garner, the president. They're working for God. And they do the best they can at it. If you show them and help them get it right, they will get it right every time. And that's what's so fabulous about working with a group of Christians, whether it's mission printing or some other mission activity. You see, contributors, it takes money to make things work. But we have churches such as you that give us funds every month that keeps our bills down, keeps things paid. We're financially strong. We've been that way for many, many years. We're very cautious about how we spend our funds. We spend our funds to print material and to distribute material around the world for free. That's something that there are not many organizations in the Brotherhood that can do it all free. And the only way you can do it free is have free donations, people that are willing to give the funds, such as you. There are individuals that give us estates when they pass away. You see it right up there about Brother Henry Sedmeyer. Henry was a very, very dear friend of mine. He was 94 years old. He passed away about 2 days before the first of the year. He had COVID. He had other problems. It just continued to become worse. But before he passed away, he saw that Mission Printing got a $20,000 check, like he had done for 10 years. Every year he wanted to be sure that there were 2 ocean containers paid for to be sent over to Africa. That was one of his great desires. Now, as time goes along, we lose some of these people, just as we lost Henry. And so that's why it's constantly up to us to try to encourage people, not so much to give money, but to give themselves as volunteers. And that's why it's very important that we have Caddo Mills Church of Christ helping us. For every volunteer you have, someone's going to give funds, because they may know that person, and they know they wouldn't be giving money to it unless they knew it was something that was good. There are 6 members of the board. The board operates it. It's not a Church of Christ function such as a Beltline function or a Brown Trail function. This is a work of the churches of Christ. We have churches from all over send us funds, even from out of the states. There are not many organizations in the states that get money from other countries, but they are so impressed that they do tremendous things for us in different ways. We have volunteers that we say from 9 to 90, but really we have some 5-year-olds that can correlate pretty good. They can put the paper together a lot faster than I can. What is our purpose? The purpose, print and distribute gospel material. It's needed in this world. There's so much material being printed out there that is warping people's minds. And in our country, we're going to see it become much worse. So we need to be printing the truth. What does the Bible say? And that's what we stay with. You see the list of authors there. You say, whoa, those authors are old. They are old. Well, they had the truth just like we have the truth today. And their writings are just as good today as they were the day they wrote them, because they based everything on the Scripture. How do we operate? Mission Printing is the center at Arlington, Texas. It's the center of all the activity of the work going on to get the written word to places like Africa. We also send to other places. But most of you know if you mail something overseas, you're talking about $8 a pound. It gets real expensive, real expensive. So a lot of our mailing has been curtailed, and we found out ways of getting it to people without necessarily mailing it. We have at least over 100 volunteers if you count those that are helping us distribute the material. When a container goes into Lagos, Nigeria, that container goes to a lot of people. There are people that pick it up at the dock and take it to a congregation, and they break it down, and they have maybe 50 different preachers from different congregations throughout Lagos. We have over 10 million people in Lagos, including the surrounding areas there. It's probably close to 20 million people at one port. But that's not the only place that that container will go. Half of that container will be sent to the eastern part of Nigeria. And then it'll be separated there and sent down to the southern part of Nigeria. And what I mentioned, Nigeria, they are requiring so much printing material, we cannot possibly get enough to them. 200 million people. It is the most populated country in all of Africa. And they have more people being baptized in studies than many places in the world. They're very receptive to it. It's a very violent country. I've been there. I know of people that have been killed. I know of people that have been robbed. It's a dangerous place, and these people live in a dangerous area all the time. The northern half of the country is mostly extreme Muslim, very dangerous for any white person. Even for the black Muslims are afraid. So there's a tremendous need for the material to be there. We're in discussions now with a friend that we have in Nigeria who is a printer. You may have heard of him, Sylvester Imegu. We've known him for about 15 years, and he's working with other congregations in the United States printing. He says if we will give him the money for the paper, he will print it for us. It cost us a lot of money just to transport the paper over there. He can buy the paper in Nigeria at about the same price we do, which is unusual. But those are things we're looking at for the future. And that's when we run into a roadblock, we just don't give up on that country and walk away from it. We try to figure out a way to fix it. And God's usually the answer. Here's the facility. It's paid for. 1 acre of land, 7,500 square feet of floor space. Right now, there's a box sitting about 4 high on every square foot in the building. We are swamped. But in the morning, we've got people even coming from Pattonville, Texas, up by Paris. Brother Ballard, you know David Ballard, he works with the Cameroon operation over in Africa. He will be there with his wife, and they're going to help us trim, they're going to help us staple. And I'm putting that invitation out to any of you that want to come and say, I want to spend a day there. I want to come see what it's about. We're very open to that. Just give me a call, and I'll be glad to set it up. And the equipment that we run is not real complicated. It's pretty easy to run. It's safe. So anything that you see, you've got a day that's open and you want to come work with us, Marvin's been there several times. He can tell you the way. We're so proud that Marvin's taken such a great interest in this and helped us be able to work this right through. We've got a double printer. This prints on both sides, and that printer will put out 1 million pages in a day, and we're talking about 6, 7 hour a day. That is a lot of paper. It looks like a waterfall when it's running. And Sam, I think Jason knows Sam real well. Sam makes sure everything's just right, and it's got to be just right or he's not running it. But Sam runs it, and he's got 2 trainees now, not really trainees. They're able to run by themselves on it on a regular basis. So he feels better that he has some backup. That's what we're all trying to do. We're pushing 75 and 80 years old. We're going to need somebody to take our place someday. So we're always looking for somebody that's eager to volunteer to come in and work 1 day a week or 1 day a month. This is a small press. It prints on one side, but we use it to print our covers, and we do have 2 now. We were looking to buy one. We found one for about $10,000, a used one, and I called another friend of mine, and he said, I know where you can get one free. We went over to Dallas, and the man said, I just want it out of my shop. I got a new one coming in, and that one was better than the one we've gotten that we had. God blesses us in so many ways, it's hard to imagine. We have an automatic collator. That collator will collate the material, 4, 5, 6 sheets. It will double staple them with 2 staples, and then it will fold it, and it will trim it in 1 second. You can put out a lot of tracks on that machine. The other machine there beside it is a single folder that has an attachment that it will double fold a big piece of paper into the insert that you put into the cover. So these are very important machines to us. They all have to have operators, and that's what we're always looking for, is an operator. Sometimes we have an operator who says, I'll be there every Monday, and somebody else, I'll be there every Tuesday. But now with the COVID, it's getting a little bit more difficult, but hopefully that's going to change in the next few months. More equipment, we have 3 automatic staplers. These are easy to run. They staple the material together after it's been collated. We also have 2 trimming machines. These are automatic. You take a stack of tracks, maybe 30 to 50 tracks, put it in the machine, push the feet, 15 seconds, you do the same thing again, over and over and over. And if you stay with it, you can do about 25 boxes a day. So it can put out a lot of material, but your feet get pretty tired by the end of the day. Volunteers load our containers. Without the volunteers, my back would have broke a long time ago. The volunteers, I usually just supervise it. I have the big guy, second from the left there, his main job is drive the forklift, and everybody's hollering at him, hurry up, slow down, back up, look out, and over and over. Well, he used to be kind of jumpy, but he's not jumpy anymore. He said, it doesn't bother me at all. But he's gone through 37 containers. We've shipped that many. Where do they go? Where's all this literature go? All this work that we put into it and the money of buying the paper, that's our biggest expense, $100,000 a year for paper. Where does it go? It goes into the hearts and souls of men and women and children. Ghana has received 11 containers. Now, these containers are 20-foot containers. but they're packed full, 37,000 pounds. Those containers are loaded to the limit of the state of Texas, and that's why we have to stop when we get to 37,000. Now, we have shipped a larger container, but when you get to Africa, then you have to pay for 2 containers to haul it around in because their roads are not good enough to handle the full-size containers. Nigeria has received 10 containers. South Africa, 5, Cameroon, 3, Tanzania and Liberia, 2, Zimbabwe, Kenya, Jamaica, Uganda all received 1. Now, if I put it in big print, I can read it, but that's about the best I could do. Since 2009, when we were told by the U.S. Post Office that our rate of $1 a pound was going to go up, I mean, it wasn't $1, it was like about $1, well, it was about $1 a pound. And then they said it's going to go up to $4 a pound. And we said, whoa, that's just really pushing us hard. We can't afford to ship anything. So we prayed about it, and I prayed for it to go back down to the $1 a pound. And today we're paying an average of 30 cents a pound on the ocean container. And that's an average over the last 10 years. The last 37 containers, the price has stayed almost the same. And I do a total average on each container, how many pounds is in it, how much we spent for it, all the cost. I take care of all the paperwork, and that saves a tremendous amount of money. But I basically have found trusted Christians in all these countries that we can depend on. A lot of it's through people like Brown Trail that's worked with people over there, and they know them. People like Bear Valley that's worked over there. They have over 30 schools now scattered all over Africa. They have done a tremendous job of opening up the schools, and we use those schools to send this material to be some of our major distributors, because that's this volunteers I was talking about. We have volunteers of 20. When we go into a preaching school, we send them a container. There's 20 young men that are ready to go out and knock doors and hand out the material. And they go to studies, they give them. We also send more than just our material. We send World Bible School lessons, we send World Bible School Bibles, we send new Bibles that people have given us money to buy, to send over. The work just continues on. The main thing, though, all this comes back to without volunteers, it doesn't work. That's the key to it. Here's the layout of the mathematics that I did on the past week. I went through every one of the 37, and this is how we came up with the 30 cents a pound that I knew that we'd have, because I check this about every 2 or 3 shipments. I go back and check to see what's the running average. And so basically you're going to have $11,000 to send a container. And it's going to be 37,000 pounds. That's going to be the average. If we went to the post office and we wanted to send that container, it would be $262,000. We'd be sending it in 20-pound boxes. Actually, it's a 25-pound box, but with our material, and it packs it full, there's only 12 pounds of material that goes in to that box that they charge you $85 for. And that's the best price they've got. We've talked with them. We've tried to work out contracts. It's not even close. They're set on their price, and you can count on it. Every October, the price is going to go up, and every February, just like clockwork, it went up this month. We've seen that for 10 years. That's how it's got to $8 from the dollar. It's just a sad situation, but that's the way we do it, is through ocean container shipments. And it takes a lot of volunteers to make that as economically as we've been able to do it. So in 1 year, our normal year of shipping 4 containers, we avoid paying the U.S. Post Office over $1 million and still get our containers over there. It doesn't cost us $50,000 to do 4 containers. This is our world, and every soul in it is our responsibility according to the Great Commission that we've seen. We need to at least let them know what the Bible is about. Let them know what Jesus is about. Our workplace, is everywhere there's someone that can read. And you may say, well, what about all these people that can't read English? That is a problem to us, but we have other ways of trying to help. We can't do it all. But we do send material, as you'll see in the email. I put out a mission printing email news this afternoon. I've been doing that for years, and if you're not on that email list, I wish you would look at the back of our mission printing tracts that we have, and you probably have some here. There'll be an email on there. Send it to that email address, your email, and then I can put you on the list. Every so many months, I try to summarize things that's going on at Mission Printing and let people know on a regular basis. Africa is one of the main places we go with containers. We have gone to Jamaica with one, but most of them have gone to Africa. I've been to these places. I've met these people. I've lived with them. I did all that on my own because that's what I do. My job is to go out and try to help, and I've enjoyed it. Marvin and I traveled some in our work. While I was traveling at work, then sometimes I would take a vacation and go take care of church business because that was the thing that God had blessed me to do, to give me the ability and the funds to be able to do it. But Africa is a special place in my heart because there are so many receptive people there to the gospel. This is a gospel chariot. This is a large truck, has a baptistry in it. They drive that out in a field, and they'll have 5,000 people show up, and they'll put out chairs for the dignitaries. There'll be the chief there, and there'll be all the different ones in the area, and they will have, this has just been packed full. In fact, they had a flat on the way out of Cape Town with this truck. And then the bad news is a cop come by and gave them a ticket because they said it was overloaded. So there are problems, everything you do, but that doesn't stop them from running. There's 3 or 4 of them, and then there's several vans that run. They got 2 or 3 in West Africa. They got some in South Africa, and now they've moved them into East Africa. Ghana is the easiest place to work in all of Africa, in my opinion. It is more interested in the Bible than most countries I've ever seen. I've been to 48 different countries. And the people in Ghana are amazing. Now, they may be holiness, they may be different groups of people into different things, but they all will try to quote the Bible, they will try to use the Bible, but when they see the truth, they recognize it. There's a lot of activity that goes in Ghana. We've sent a container there, say, 11 times. And the person that's in charge there, one of them, is of the church that I went to in Accra, is Brother Sampson. And as one of the elders of that church, they have about 4,000 people. They have a 4th floor. When I was there, they were building the 4th floor onto their big building. And Sampson is also a clearing agent. And he took away all the red tape. He opened up a door for me that I was trying to figure out and learn how to do. And he said, just send it to me and I'll take care of it. And I'll only charge you $2,000. Well, $2,500 to $3,000 is generally what most clearing agents charge you to take care of your container when it comes in and take through all the government taxes, all the government problems that come along with it. He cut through all that, and he's been able to do it now on 11 containers. Well, the next big thing about that is that we ended up with a free storehouse. I was in this storehouse 2 different times, one back in 2009 and then one 2013. This storehouse is a Guidelight Literature Center. It's 2-story. It's brand new when I first went in. They just had the opening a few weeks before I got there. And the brother that runs that, Osei Larby, he is an excellent teacher. He's an excellent director of a preaching school. He's in charge of children's school. He runs this literature center. He allows us to store our entire container load in this second floor, and then he helps distribute that material. Well, from this storage house, much of West Africa gets their material. Nigeria, I'll tell you the problems we're having in Nigeria. The port in Lagos is on an island, and they've torn the bridge down before they were ready, so they have a one-way bridge. So many hours the trucks go in, and then so many hours the trucks come back out. Well, when you go to pick up a load, you have to pay for 2 drivers for 2 days. And the charge went from $250 this last time to $2,500 to get your material 7 miles out of the port. So that's when I decided that we need to figure out some other way to help until this gets remedied. Nigeria has a tremendous potential of having more Christians in the United States. I was there in 2014, and this brother McKindy has a school up north in Ibadan from Lagos. I went up there and visited with him. Now they have new buildings there. They have a tremendous amount of impact on that whole area. I'm getting emails now from these places, and the villages that are around them, like maybe 50, 75 miles away, they will be writing us, wanting us to mail them. Well, we can mail them a box, but it'll run real quick, expensive. So that's why we need to try to get some printing done inside Nigeria. This is Brother Reuben Egwu. He's been to my house a couple of times, and he's in eastern Nigeria, and he's been one that's been very instrumental in getting me to be bringing more material over to Nigeria. Very exciting individual, very dedicated. There's so many that have done so much that it almost makes me feel ashamed sometimes of what I'm doing here in the States. They're under great risk every day. Another country I went to was Cameroon. Watutu is a school there, Bear Valley, and they have another one that's a French school. When we'll be shipping a container to them this year, and they will be sending French material. We have a WBS French, Portuguese. We have the Spanish. Believe it or not, there's one country in Africa that's Spanish and probably nobody's ever heard of it, Equatorial Guinea. It's off the coast of Cameroon, Malabo. When I was there in 2009, Willie Glee, that graduated from Brown Trail, he was instrumental in getting a radio program, a Bible radio program in Spanish in the capital of Malabo of Equatorial Guinea. And he asked this time, he said, send us some WBS material in Spanish because there's a lot of people wanting it now. So we did. So he has it over there now to get it to them. This is the church there that I stayed about 10 days. It has a school now, a Bear Valley school in it. It also has an orphanage. It has a accredited school up to the 9th grade. It's like I say, 1,200 boxes was on that container. They had to stack it in the church building. They had nowhere else to put it. Now they're building a storehouse to put it in for this next load that hopefully we'll get there this year. South Africa. I was in Cape Town, and I went around the Horn all the way up on the east side, on the Indian Ocean side. We drove, and I thought Texas was big, but that's a big part of the world right there. When you start, and they've got super highways, the only country in Africa that really has fantastic roads. They have interstate bridges that go over canyons that the ocean comes in under you, beautiful, but don't stop because the baboons live under the bridges and they will eat your arm off. I didn't want to get close to them. So as soon as I saw them, I thought, that's not for me. It is a different world, but they travel. We have Brother, you probably know him, Brother Rohan Jones. He was at Brown Trail for 2 or 3 years and graduated, I think, 2001. And he helps take care of half the container. And then Paul Gerber out of Creve Hall, he takes care of the other half. Paul is a director of a preaching school there in Cape Town. He also takes the material up to Johannesburg. They have a member, and this is how you can help, and you may not even know it. You can help because you have an individual in a congregation in South Africa that happens to drive a truck 750 miles up to Johannesburg. That's his job. He goes up there twice every week. He takes 20 boxes of mission printing tracts with him every week. And it saves us the monies. We don't have to spend a penny for that. There's things that people do for us over there that it seems like God is blessing us wherever we go and whatever we try. And there's always an answer to it. We just have to be patient and work on it. Now, Namibia is a country there to the northwest. Rohan Jones spends a lot of time in that country, starting churches, going back and checking them every year. They've been doing that for 30 years, long before he came to Brown Trail. He also goes to Zambia, and that's one of his main places. We just shipped 350 boxes up to Zambia, so the church up there will have plenty of material. Botswana has received material. They've received Bibles. Then Zimbabwe, we've sent container to Zimbabwe, and I just got a request last week to send another container, and we'll try to send it at the end of the year. These are very, very poor countries. And when you get out on the road, it becomes a gravel road, and it becomes just a trail. And I don't know how they get 18-wheelers up through there, but somehow they've managed to get the material where we send it. And sometimes it's free instead of thousands of dollars. In South Africa, they move the material. They move it by wheelbarrow. They move it by back. They put in Liberia, and the next one's coming. Well, this is Zimbabwe here. They're out in the park handing out our material on a regular basis. Uganda, this is one that we sent a large container, a 40-footer, and they wanted to use it for a storage, and they bought the container. It was only $2,000, so the school needed the container to store things in. So we sent the entire container, and the only thing about Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania is that they charge you $5,000 tax for bringing in any container, whether you're buying it or not. That's just a charge. That import tax can get tough if you're on the wrong side. Liberia received a container last year, and then this year we had lots of baptisms. I've sent out a lot of reports. There's a gentleman I met there 7 years ago that was a trustee of a preaching school, and then he decided to start his own preaching school. And now he has a school that they go out and they go to villages that do not have a Church of Christ. And I think there's finished up quick, didn't we? My wife must have got a hold of it. She said she was going to stop me. Those last two slides there, one of them is about Alfred, and I call him the baptizer. I've never seen a man in all these 15 years of working with, I'm receiving emails 3 or 4 every day. But nearly every week I get an email with 3 or 4 or 6 or 8 or 12 or 20 baptisms in it. I've never seen a man work that hard with a crew of people, but he knows where to go. Now, when I left there in Liberia 2013, a few months later, the Ebola outbreak, and there was 540 people at the church where I preached that morning. And some of those folks died because of the Ebola. The Ebola was terrible in that country. Now they see this COVID is the same thing. And so they're trying to get their souls ready. They're trying to get to the point where they know that they're saved. So a lot of them are listening to Alfred and his crew as they go out and go around. But not only does Alfred use the tracts and the World Bible School material, he also gives half of that container to a Bear Valley school that's in Ganta up in the northeast. And they take part of their material and they give it across to another Bear Valley school that's over in Guyana, which is French speaking, and then they give some more of their material over to Sierra Leone to another Bear Valley school. So I've tried to tie in every shipment that we make. I want to try to get material distributed as much as I can without cost to Mission Printing. You can send things in Africa, but it's expensive. It's very expensive. But if you know the right people and the people that already have a job doing that and their boss lets them do it, then it's wonderful. It's a blessing to us. But the main thing I want everybody to know here is that Mission Printing is very appreciative of your funds that you give us. We try to spend them as wisely as possible. And we're so proud that you have volunteers here that are dedicated. Invite all of you to come to Mission Printing if you can. Take a tour of it. Come and spend the day. We have groups, we have people from Elliott Street Church of Christ and Breckenridge. They come. I never would have dreamed it when I went out and talked to them out there. I thought, this is too far. They wanted to come to Mission Printing. Well, they said, what about if we do it in our building? Next thing I knew, they built a room onto their building. They bought a big electric stapler like we have, the big ones. And then there's about 6 ladies that are dedicated Monday through Friday, and they do 30,000 tracts a month. And they bought a big bus with a big luggage compartment in the back that can hold 40 boxes of material, and they drive it back and forth. It's just amazing what people can do if they want to. It's what they needed. That's what they were looking for, something. What can we do to get together and be together? And they could meet at the building every day. Just amazing how it works, and I've seen it. We've got congregation up in Oklahoma. It comes down every 3 or 4 weeks, brings the material. The connection, he says, when you get sick in Hugo, Oklahoma, you don't go to the hospital there, you go to Dallas. And when you go to Dallas, you're already there at Mission Printing. Just go over and get the material and bring it back. So it's been an exciting life for me. And to be able to see not only the start of Mission Printing in the sense of getting into the ocean container business, but seeing the great savings God had for us there by doing it. And then for me to be able to go in and see these people. We build preacher boxes for all the preachers of the schools that we go to. Sometimes I build 50 to 150 preacher boxes. And that may be the only library that preacher will ever get in his whole life. It will be his books, his own books. They come from people that give them to us, like World Video Bible School, Sister Choate's organization, International. There's about 15 or 20 different brotherhood publishers that give me their brand new books to send overseas, and you received one of the boxes of them. You know what's in them. That's different as time goes along, but they're given to me because they cannot afford to send them overseas. They can't afford the postage, and they're selling them to try to get enough money to keep printing them, but now they sit in their storage house. I got a big box, 6-8 boxes load from Spiritual Sword, brand new lectureship books that were never sold. I said, what are y'all doing with those? And they said, we're just sitting on them, I guess. And I said, well, send them to me and I'll get them in the preacher's hands. And they did. I was surprised. They've done that 2 different times. And the preachers is just, that's sermons for them. Every time they pick up that book, there's another sermon there I can preach. But I'm going to shut it down. I know people are starting to get tired, but once I start talking, I don't want to stop, because this is such a wonderful program that just about anybody can do something to work in it. And I always tell people I'm not going around asking for money. I'm going around asking for volunteers, and that's my main drive. God has blessed us financially, and God has blessed us with some wonderful, dedicated. But I know, just as we all are going to die sooner or later, we're going to lose some of these volunteers this year. I may be one of them. But I know God blessed me with a wonderful life. And if some of you here that are concerned about your spiritual life, this is a time to think seriously about it. I know this hasn't been a sermon about being saved, but I think everybody here probably knows what that's all about. And if you need to come forward for any reason, the men of this congregation will be happy to work with you, help with you, pray with you. We'll all be glad to pray with you. Please come forward now as we stand and sing.